Hello, everyone, and welcome to this October new moon forecast in Scorpio. It is October today. While I'm releasing this video, it is October 24th, but this transmission and forecast is for the new moon tomorrow, October 25th, and for the coming days. So thank you so much for being here. Welcome back if you tuned in a couple weeks ago or if you've watched some of my other videos or transmissions. And welcome if this is your first time. My name is Charlotte Alea Dovechild. I am a priestess of the divine feminine. I am an oracle for Mother Earth, and I am an alchemical healer. And really, I'm here to help us all transmute our fate and our karma into our highest destiny. So really here to serve our processes of spiritual healing. And so that's why we're here today. We're going to look at the collective energies that are present for us to continue that path. And I pull forth a message from our Great Mother, from our Mother Earth, that is in service to us and our destinies, and healing and transmuting our fates and our karmas. Okay, so before we dive into the cards, I just want to also share that there are several really powerful things happening right now, beginning on October 25th. So not only are we having a new moon in Scorpio, and new moons really bring new beginnings and time for setting intentions, but it is also a partial solar eclipse. And so a solar eclipse is when the moon obscures, it's a partial solar eclipse, so a part of the sun. And I know that it's only visible, I believe, in most of Northern Europe, Russia, Siberia, that area. So even though you can't see it, though, in all of the world, it creates a huge impact. So we have that going on, and that is the first eclipse of two. So then we'll have, in the beginning of November, we're going to have a full lunar eclipse where the sun obscures the moon. So we're moving into this eclipse window, this portal, right? Today, starting Tuesday, October 25th. I'm saying today, even though it's tomorrow, because I'm talking about those energies. And a lot of you are probably watching this on the day of the new moon. So that's one piece that is very powerful. The other piece that is happening is that today is actually lunar Samhain. So it's when you see the word, you probably have seen this word, or you may not have. It looks like Samhain. It's pronounced Samhain. Other names for it, that's the Celtic word for it. So that's what it's called in all the British Isles, and also Ireland, which is my own ancestral lineage. Other names for it is All Hallows Eve, Day of the Dead, Dia de los Muertos, and this is honored all over the world. And really what it is technically it's at the cross quarter between the equinox and the solstice. But on a spiritual level, it is when the veils begin to thin, and between our realm and the ancestral realm, and those loved ones who have passed on before us are near and are coming through. And I don't know about you, but oh my goodness, I'm already feeling this energy so powerfully. I even already built my altar several days ago, last week. Yeah, so it would have been about a week ago, because I was already receiving so many messages, and I needed an energetic place to focus this energy. So lunar Samhain is sort of like opens the window, and lunar Samhain is basically the first the new moon in Scorpio. And then solar Samhain is at the beginning of November. And that's sort of what most of us associate as Samhain, but really it's a window. And so the energy culminates and builds until solar Samhain at the beginning of November. So we are in a really powerful time right now where we have incredible opportunities to heal with our ancestors and to heal ancestral karma and fate and trauma. So a lot of our karma that we carry does actually come from our ancestors. So yes, some of it does come from past lives, but a lot of it comes from our ancestors. And it's often really I would say almost pointless to try to parse it out, right? Because we are who we are. And sometimes our past lives and our ancestors merge together. So I wanted to just talk about this a bit before I even go into the cards. And when I drew the cards, I saw that this message, yes, very much wants to come through right now. So to really begin to tune into what ancestors are already coming through and what ancestors you can begin to invite in. So for some of us, when we think about ancestors and the energy that is present, it's ancestors that have recently passed, have passed in our lifetime, or have passed 1 or 2 generations or 3 generations ago. So a grandparent, great-grandparent, great-great-grandparent even, so like that realm, right? And even going a little bit further back, for most of us, those ancestors, although they do come with love, most definitely, they also come with, they come in need of healing because they have lived in this fractured, traumatized world that we live in. And they have likely experienced a lot of trauma and fracturing and separation in their lifetimes. So when they come as love, but they also come in need of healing. And so we then have the choice to as they come through, to really look at how we can heal with them. So what pieces are they activating within ourselves that we share with them, right? What core wounds do they reveal about ourselves that they actually pass down to us? And then as we invite healing of those wounds, those ancestral wounds, not only are we healing ourselves, we're healing them, right? And so it's this beautiful impact that goes down our blood lineages and allows them to rest easier or even cross over more fully into the other world, whatever you want to call it. So there's that piece. The other piece, however, is that because they come with their own baggage, some of that baggage actually doesn't belong to us. And because they come with agendas, and this isn't a bad thing. It's just that they may not be fully enlightened as to the best way to heal themselves, right? And so it may start to get a little crowded in here as you begin to, or blurry. It can feel confusing when we don't know sort of what is coming from ourselves, or we confuse something that it seems like it's coming from ourselves, but it's actually coming from an ancestor, because ourselves merge with those of our ancestors. Often when this happens, we don't recognize that it is not us speaking of this pain, speaking of this desire, right? And so it's really important during this time to parse out what belongs to you and what does not belong to you, what belongs in the past. That separation is really key to healing, because then you get to choose, right? Like how you want to move forward. This is when you really come into your own self-authority as to how you're choosing to move forward, right? Because you don't exist for your ancestors. You don't. You exist in order to pave your own destiny that is healed for yourself, right? And sometimes it can get really confusing as our identities and our sense of selves merges with those that came before us. So that's a really key piece. The other piece that I want to talk about here is that we have the opportunity to go back, though, even further in our lineage, way back, sometimes 1,000, 2,000, 5,000 years ago, to ancestors that came long before us, when planet Earth was at a very different time and consciousness was very different. And these ancestors, not all of them that lived at that time. I'm not saying you want to call forth, like thousands of people that came before you, but calling forth ancestors who are in their wholeness and in their ascent and have ascended, right? Ascended into the wholeness of who they are. And so when we do this, we open ourselves to a tremendous sources of healing, because those ancestors have access to light codes that we don't have yet have access to, but then we will when we call them in. They can help activate the really most powerful healing aspects within us. They can really activate our destiny. They can bring miraculous healing, like problems that you've been having for a really long time can disappear like that, because they just have access to so many powerful energies that we don't yet have access to, and they can show us how to open to that, right? They can be our guides and our mentors. And so this is a window when we can really call them in and ask for their support, ask for their help in healing these pieces of ancestral trauma that are getting activated during that time, because the more wounded ancestors are coming in. And then you create this beautiful continuum, right? You can actually heal the breaks in your lineage. So I have found that personally to be really key in my own healing. Huge points of transformation and turning points occurred on my own healing path when the ancestor who, this is on my mother's lineage, and for most watching this, men and women included, a lot of this is going to be on your mother's lineage. But I don't want to exclude father's lineage, because that's very much included too. So for me, this was on my mother's lineage. There was an ancestor who, where there was a break in the lineage, because she was pulled out of her ancestral home and family and forced into a stranger's family who abused her pretty terribly. And that caused all this trauma, and that trauma then continued all the way down my mother's line, right? And so when I was able to fully remember her and recognize how she had been living within me my whole life, and really unravel my own story from her story, it brought so much healing and so much release, so that was key. The other key was when I asked for and called for an ancestral guide to come through that was very, very deep down in my lineage. And a elder on my mother's side again came through with who is now one of my greatest spiritual guides. And I work with continually, who offers simply unconditional love. And that's really the difference. These ancestors from long ago that are healed and whole, they come as unconditional love. They don't have their own personal agenda. And so she is just a wonderful, warm, joyful, just all loving presence for me that I can turn to for guidance when anything sort of arises for me. So So yeah, so we are really moving into a portal where both of these pieces are possible. So I know I've been going on about this for quite a while, but that felt really, really important and key to share as we now move into the cards. And let's see if there's anything I needed to share, else I need to share on that. No, I think that's it. Okay, so I've already drawn the cards. As I shared last time, I draw them ahead of time so that we can, so that I can sit with them, meditate with them, and have their messages come through first. And then we can just dive in. I work with this oracle, this tarot deck, Tarot of the Spirit by Pamela and Joyce Eakins. And I've drawn 4 cards. So the first card is our lesson. The second card is the shadow. The third card is the gift. So really what we can expect to receive when we embrace the lesson that is being offered to us and the shadow that's coming through. Fourth card is the wild card. So what other energies are present that we need to be aware of. Okay, so let's dive in and let's go to our lesson first. 6 of water. So in the traditional tarot decks, this is 6 of cups. And if you remember from 2 weeks ago, if you watched that video, our lesson was another 6. It was 6 of earth, 6 of pentacles. So we are still really in this 6 realm, which 6s represent harmony. So it's when multiple pieces come together in a very harmonious way and flow together. So that's really what 6s bring. Water brings us into the realm of emotions. And more than that, with this card, the 6 of water, it's bringing us into the realm of memory. So water and memory are intricately connected. If you notice, most of the memories that you hold on to are ones that held a lot of emotion for us, right? For you or for me. So when we're going into 6 of water, we're really merging our present self with our multiple past selves. And so we're really bringing, what I like to see in this is that we're expanding our own emotional container to hold more aspects of us. So this could be aspects of your past from either just earlier in your adulthood or from your inner child. And it can also include what I was just talking about, aspects of your ancestry. So deeper aspects of your past that even go beyond your own individuality. It can also involve past selves from past lives, right? And so really expanding that container and holding a deep container of love for yourself and compassion. So water in its most ascended and pure quality is the frequency of love. And so this is really asking us to, the lesson here is really around self-love. Self-love, love always emerges first towards the self. And then as we expand our ability to really love the aspects of ourselves that are emerging within us, our shadows, our light, our darkness, everything, then that love overflows and extends out into the world, right? So I'm seeing a message of self-love here. I'm also seeing a message of forgiveness. So what aspects of yourself do you need to forgive that may be sparked through what you recognize in other people, right? Sometimes when we come into crises of forgiveness, when we know we need to forgive somebody in our life, but we just can't get into that frequency. It's really hard. And it feels like we're blocked maybe from that. It's usually because we haven't forgiven ourselves, right? For that, for whatever occurred. So that was a big message that Spirit was giving me as I was tuning into the message of this card. Before we can release something from the past, we have to first embrace it and love it. That is the paradoxical rule of healing. is that before you can release anything, you have to love it. You have to fully let it in. And so this is what I see here. So allowing yourself to, it can feel kind of murky at first, as I was talking about before, right? It can feel confusing and murky. It can feel confusing a bit. But then it can feel, you know, that moment when you just have to laugh because things just don't really make sense to the mind and they never will. That's sort of the energy that I'm feeling, you know, allowing yourself not to make sense of it in your head and simply coming to peace with all that is present, all that is emerging, all these pieces from your past and your present self that are coming together within yourself. Okay, so that is this, yeah, so that completes this card as we move into the next card, which is our shadow. And that is Brother Earth. So in the traditional tarot, this would be the Knight of Pentacles, for those of you who know tarot. So this is a court card, and court cards represent personality aspects of ourselves or other people. And because this reading and these readings really are about healing our own fates and karmas and stepping into our own destinies, really we're looking at personality aspects of ourselves. However, this energy most definitely can be reflected to you through other people, because especially women, when it's a masculine energy, we have been so trained to project our own masculinity onto the men in our lives, our brothers, our partners, our friends, that masculine energy is often, this might show up in the men around you, or but if it does, it's wanting to point to something inside of you, right? So however it shows up, whether at first fully within yourself or in others, it's pointing to aspects of your own personality that are wanting to emerge from the shadow. And when I say shadow, we're talking about what is hidden. Now, as I talked about 2 weeks ago, shadow isn't necessarily negative, right? It's simply hidden. So that is a common misperception with shadow, is that it's always pieces of ourselves we don't like, when actually we put a whole lot of stuff into our shadow. We disown a lot of parts of ourselves that are really powerful and actually serve our highest self. And we do so through cultural learning. Learning from a culture that is fractured and traumatized right now. So that is what I'm reading from this card. This is not an actual negative aspect of us coming through that wants to be healed. This is actually a reclaiming of a piece of ourselves that we have lost. So let's talk about Brother Earth. He is a steward of Mother Earth. So if you look at this card, you can see, look, he's got spirals on his coat, which extend into wings, his arms extending into wings, and he's riding a bull. The bull is an ancient symbol of the masculine aspect of Earth. And the spirals are the alchemical aspect of Mother Earth. So, and I just want to point this out too in the imagery. Isn't this incredible? He's got this beautiful sun in back of him, and he is obscuring the sun, just like this solar eclipse with the new moon that is happening, a partial obscuring of the sun. How incredible that we see this in that card. So Brother Earth, his mission is to simply serve. He is here to serve Mother Earth. He is humble. He is without ego. Everything he does is for her. He is slow and he is steady. He is not in a rush, right? He is very, very practical. So this energy is the masculine aspect of ourselves that is not glamorous, that does not push, that is not trying to get into the limelight. He's actually obscuring the light, right? He's actually okay remaining in the shadow, remaining not in the shadow, remaining, yeah, in the shadow. Meaning like not everyone's like paying attention to him, right? He's not the star of the show. So right now, collectively, we are in this massive kind of purging of the toxic feminine, of toxic masculine, rather. We're really in a point where we are rebirthing the masculine worldwide. And right now that is happening through a lot of release and purging and recognizing what toxic masculine energy is, and then learning how to unravel that within ourselves and purge it, right? And it's painful. It is a painful process we are in worldwide. It is a lot of stark, sorry, there's a hair on me that's bothering me. I gotta get rid of that. It's a lot of, like stark upheaval, stark truths being revealed. Okay, so that is definitely ongoing, right? But we need to stop every once in a while and ask ourselves, with that energy being purged from ourselves and from our culture, what is replacing it? What new masculine energy wants to come through? Him, this aspect. This is what wants to come through. Just feel into that for a moment. I just want to take a pause as you ask yourself what the question that he was asking me to ask all of you when I was really tuning into his energy was, what do you really care about? Like when it comes into your, when you come into your heart, you know, and your gut, out of your head, out of like just social expectations, out of social pressure. What are you really passionate about? What do you truly care about? What's really important to you? He can really ask us to fine tune, to pare down, to come back to what really matters, and framing and sculpting our actions, which might be subtle, which aren't glamorous, from that place. So this is definitely a place of asking for the masculine that is not egocentric to come through. Another aspect of him is like I said, he serves Mother Earth. He serves the feminine. The feminine is the source of wisdom within all of us. And I hope this has been clear from what I've been saying, but masculine and feminine energies live within all of us. And really, on a path of spiritual healing, what we're doing is we're bringing balance to our feminine and masculine energies, regardless of what gender expression we choose, female, male, or non-binary, right? So for all of us, our feminine energy is the wisdom keeper. And our masculine is the aspect of us that tunes into that wisdom and it says, okay, now what should I do? How can I serve? What actions do I take? And so this aspect that is really tuned into that inner wisdom and is willing to wait and be silent and quiet until our feminine speaks. And then he humbly steps up and says, yes, okay, I will do so. What can I do to help? Yes, I'm ready to serve. I am really feeling that there are male ancestors among us that, and female, actually, I just heard in my head, this is not just male ancestors, this is female ancestors too, that carry the divine masculine, that are really wanting to come through, that can help us build this frequency within us, that can help start rebirthing that masculine energy from within us, that divine masculine energy, right? That's what I'm really hearing. So let's move to the next card, because this is the most powerful card of the reading. Boom. The gift is resurrection. Number 20. So do you remember, if you watched 2 weeks ago, I don't know if you remember, but we talked about the twos. We had karma in that card, which was a 11. And I talked about how it's all the twos in the major arcana go from high priestess to karma, 12, to resurrection, 20. This is the culmination. And all twos, 20 equals 2. When you break it down, or you add up the digits, all twos bring the aspect of duality. And so this is the final stage in the process of really reconciling our dual nature, right? Of light and dark, feminine, masculine. And at this stage, what is happening is we transcend duality. We transcend duality, which doesn't mean that we are not living with it, but that we can create a container for ourselves that holds both equally, where we can then act from a place where we're not choosing one side or the other. We're not all parts of ourselves, all dualities come into one and all speak as one. So as I said also last week, all major arcana cards, when you receive them in a reading, they are really kind of like the gravity of the reading. Like all the energies sort of go there first, and then they inform everything else. So this is really important and key for us to see that there is a tremendous gift in store for us during this portal. And what I was really hearing from this card is for every single one of us who is listening to this, to set an intention, to make, not even set an intention, to make a decision that you are going to heal the division between your feminine and masculine and be reborn in the balance of both. That you desire to rebirth yourself within the unity of your divine masculine and your divine feminine. I'm going to say that again. That you are ready to be rebirthed in your light body through the unity of your divine feminine and your divine masculine. That is what is happening in this. And when we experience this energy, it is the activation of our light body, where all of a sudden, not all of a sudden, this is not all of a sudden energy, actually. This is a slow buildup. But how we experience it often is that we begin to feel and experience everything in our life through a lens of love. Because when we merge that feminine and masculine frequencies within us, we give birth to our sacred third, which is our light body. And that is what then leads us. And so we see everything from a lens of love. Compassion just rolls easily through us. We are able to really just keep our center during crises. We are able to access joy and bliss and peace, even during very tumultuous times. We trust. We have a tremendous amount of trust in everything that occurs in our life. So this is the frequency that kind of comes through when we walk through this portal of rebirth. Now, I am saying that with this new moon, the invitation is to set the intention and make the decision, and then to watch and witness how the energies might begin to unfold over the 2 weeks as you call in those ascended ancestors, as you create that container for yourself to hold all the past and present aspects of you, right? The container of love, to witness what unfolds. And maybe for some of us, for some of us watching this, we may be at the very beginning of our healing journeys, and this is going to take time to unravel, right? It might actually culminate in a year from now or 2 years, right? There is no rushing this process. I just really want to emphasize that, because as I talked about, maybe did I talk about this 2 weeks ago? I can't remember. But we create tremendous pressure on ourselves to like rush through our healing and be changed already and get there. You know, we have this like destination that we think we need to get to, and that's not what this is about. When we make this decision for ourselves, we are changing changing the trajectory of our path, right? And so it will take as long as it's going to take, and each of us is very different. If you have been working on this for quite a while, you might experience a tremendous breakthrough, and the energy may culminate and you may experience this gift. So there is that opportunity for this sort of the karmic healing that you have been working on for quite some time, this unity that you've been really working towards to come to fruition. And that isn't to say that we don't break apart again, right? Our paths are not linear. So once we reach this point, it doesn't mean that we don't go back. But it is true that nothing is the same ever again. The next initiation that we move through will feel different. It happens every time, every cycle sort of that we move through, right? Every cycle feels different, feels more easeful, feels more just loving, yet flows more easily. So this is incredible, exciting news. And let's see, is there anything? I think that completes this card. I think I'm going to move on to the next one. Let's see. Okay. Whoops, sorry. All right. This is our wild card. 10 of water, which is 10 of cups in the traditional tarot. I love that this card is called Fountain of Love, because really that's what it is. With this card, what I visualize is this like waterfall, like creating this open portal at our crown chakras. I can't see my head. Crown chakras, and allowing this just like waterfall of light to bathe us in just bliss. Remember when I was talking about those ascended ancestors coming through, that they can offer miraculous healing? This is it. This is it. This is like legit moment here for us. Call them in, welcome them, create an altar. If you don't know how to create an altar, simply clear a table, use something to smudge the space, like some sage, rosemary, Palo Santo, whatever you like to use. Place a candle, light the candle, invite them through the candle, and light that candle every night. That's all you need to do. So invite them in. We may experience this as just like an influx, like I said, of light. And it's going to come in when you kind of least expect it, right? You can't be sort of like waiting, like, okay, when are they coming, and watching, because then your mind is trying to control the process, and you would actually miss it from happening, even if it was happening. So usually this happens when we are completely focused on other things, when we set the intention, we leave the intention, and then whoosh, right? We might all of a sudden, it could happen during our sleep, in a dream state. It could happen in waking, where we just feel this influx of light take over us. It could happen when you're meditating. That helps, right? If you have a spiritual practice. It could also come through, as this card is revealing, through rainbow frequency. So if you tune in and you feel this influx of rainbow frequencies, even if you see a rainbow, that could be a sign as well. So it's going to be experienced in the moment you least expect it, and it's going to be like a whoosh of energy. And then what happens after that is that it could be an emotional wound you've been carrying for a long time. It could be a physical ailment that you've been carrying and just struggling with. It could be a belief about yourself that you've not been able to shake. And it's like that, it's gone. It's just gone. It's just gone. The 10 is a number of transformation. It brings us clearing. It resets everything. It brings us back to zero. So this is exciting. I know I've said that about every card in this reading. This is exciting. This is very exciting. This is really beautiful. It's really incredible in this reading today. I'm just seeing so much rebirth, so much newness, so much beautiful ascended high frequency energy that we can invite in, that will really help us move through this incredible eclipse portal. Because when we get to the full moon in a couple weeks, that is when a lot more difficult shadows may be coming up. And so all of this energy that's coming in right now is here to lift us up, raise our vibration, and create a circle of loving support around us so that we can much more easily flow through that next initiation that is around the corner. Yeah. All right, that is it. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you for listening. Feel free to comment, write me back wherever you receive this transmission, and let me know how these energies are impacting you personally. If ever in the future you desire a more personal reading, a more personal transmission and guidance for your own karmic healing and destiny path, I do offer individual personal readings that go much more deeply than this reading does, that uses a 10 card spread. So you can learn all about that from my website. All right. New moon blessings to you, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now.